here is my website on the human brain. So here is a diagram of the 4 lobes of the brain. And if we click on the frontal lobe, it will tell us the function of it. It is the emotional control center and home to personality and decision-making abilities. And the parietal lobe is involved with touch perception, movement control, and manipulation of objects. The occipital lobe is involved with the processing of vision and visual information. And then finally, the temporal lobe is involved with auditory, olfactory senses, visual association, memory, and emotional and social bonds. And then here we have a little quiz question. Which lobe of the brain is responsible for vision? Which is obviously the occipital lobe. And click submit, and you are correct. If we click here, we'll learn about the main neurotransmitters and their functions. So our little menu comes up, and acetylcholine. So here it's a transmitter of the parasympathetic autonomic nervous system. And so it produces these effects: slowing of the heart rate, stimulation of intestinal smooth muscle. It acts at neuromuscular junctions involved with learning and memory. Dopamine. It functions in reward, pleasure, motor function, compulsion, and preservation. GABA. This functions for relieving anxiety, relieving pain, regulating the release of sex hormones. Can be used to treat ADHD. It burns fat, stabilizes blood pressure, and decreased blood sugar level for people with diabetes. Glutamate. It's an excitatory neurotransmitter. It's involved in learning and memory. And alcohol inhibits the reception of this. Norepinephrine. It's released in response to stress, so it controls the body's fight or flight response. Has important roles in attention and focus, so low levels of this may contribute to ADHD. And then lastly, we have serotonin, which is both in the brain and in the gut. So in the brain, it regulates mood, fears, anxiety, gives you feelings of relaxation, learning ability. For the gut, it controls food cravings, digestion, and nutrient absorption. So I close that. So here are the 2 most common mental disorders. So first is depression, which is a disorder that involves a persistent feeling of sadness and loss of interest, and this is often linked to an imbalance in serotonin levels. Let me click here. There we go. Anxiety disorders are characterized by a persistent feeling of nervousness and an imagined sense of impending panic. It's often linked to low levels of GABA, or also could be low levels of serotonin. And here we have a slideshow about the structures of the limbic system. So here, if we start our slideshow, so the amygdala is involved with experiencing of emotions. The thalamus relays sensory information as a sensor for pain perception. The hippocampus plays a role in learning and memory. The hypothalamus plays a role in releasing hormones and regulating body temperature. You stop that. And then here is a video on the organization of the human brain.